My name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for U.S. Senate last spring 2016 to stop the ticking time bombs so I could put our economy on track for a bright new day instead of all things ending. Well, I lost the election. I'm not running, but the ticking time bombs are still here, if not more so. Let me educate you on the ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story. Part 17B, the Second Amendment. The question today is, does shall not be infringed give everyone in the United States the right to have and bear arms, or is shall not be infringed an absolute right to have and bear arms for everyone? Well, the words state and people are really big indicators. Lowercase people means everyone, and uppercase people means just citizens of the U.S. Did you know that two of the folks that was part of the Second Amendment Committee were large slave owners? Do you think that slaves were considered U.S. citizens at this time? How many of you folks believe that slave owners ever intended the right to have and bear arms ever would be intended for the black population? The word never comes to mind. Did you know that another person on the committee who came from Pennsylvania? Back then, Pennsylvania was a western state which had a Indian population and a history of Indian massacres. Have you ever wondered why history books often refer to the Indian nations? Because Indians were defined as their own nation and treated not as citizens of the U.S. Thus, from inception, the design of the Second Amendment was to exclude two large U.S. populations, blacks and Indians, from its shall not be infringed protections. Have you ever wondered why there wasn't a lot of black insurrection? White folks, and in particular white slave owners and their white workers, had the guns and the black folks didn't. Blacks didn't have the right to have a gun until the Civil War forced the North to extend the right to bear arms if and only if blacks joined the Union Army. And the right to have a gun wasn't guaranteed to blacks until the 14th Amendment was ratified. As for the Indians, the Second Amendment applying to the Indian nations occurred much, much later. There is a reason why Indians had the bow and arrows and the cowboys had the guns. As realized on May 8th, 1792, each and every free, able-bodied white male citizen of the respective states resided therein who is or shall be of age at 18 years and under the age of 45 years, except as is herein after accepted, shall severally and respectively be enrolled in the militia, and every citizen so enrolled and notified shall within 6 months thereafter provide himself with a good musket or firelock, a sufficient bayonet and belt, 2 spare flints, and a knapsack, a pouch with a box therein to contain not less than 24 cartridges suited to the bore of his musket or firelock, each cartridge to contain a proper quantity of powder and ball, or with a good rifle knapsack, shot pouch, powder horn, 20 balls suited to the bore of his rifle, and a quarter of a pound of powder, and shall appear so armed, accounted, and provided when called out to exercise or into service, except that when called out on company days to exercise only, he may appear without a knapsack. Have you ever wondered where we get the idea of a Minuteman? This piece of legislation. Basically, every white male 18 years and older was expected to have a knapsack full of bullets, powder, and supplies, and a gun at his door. So if a knock came to him and his door, he could be ready in a minute. There was a good reason for that. We had won our independence from Great Britain, but the war with France had put the US in the middle. We were trying not to take sides, but with the Louisiana Purchase from France by President Thomas Jefferson, the US had become a major source of revenue for France through our repayment of that purchase. England found itself needing to cut off this supply of funds to France, placing the US once again in Great Britain's crosshairs. There is a reason why we had the War of 1812, but we had been occupied for a long time and by British soldiers, and nobody wanted to trade the British Army occupation with an American Army occupation. Thus, the reason behind the Second Amendment. Neither Federalists or Anti-Federalists wanted a standing federal army. But what makes this amendment so important to be the second and not the 10th? End of Part 17B, the Second Amendment. You have a good and blessed day. Bye.